Hello there again, folks. It's Zach Elliott at Feel Free to Argue. And, well, I guess Bill Richardson's going to be our Secretary of Commerce. You're probably thinking, oh, well, Zach, you got to be thrilled about that. He's a spick like you, isn't he? And, in fact, he is, like me, a spick, meaning a half-spick. But unfortunately, also like me, Bill Richardson doesn't really have any actual affinity for Spanish-speaking people. And I think that's really clearly evident in his tenure as governor of New Mexico. And the other thing that I think is interesting is there's very little discussion, actually, of the history of a lot of these people. I mean, I don't have the memory of a goldfish, but apparently most people in our media do, and they don't talk about hugely important elements of people's past, people like Bill Richardson. But here, that's what I got Greg Palast for. I'm going to read to you from Armed Madhouse, my signed copy. A little section called The Kissinger American. Carry won New Mexico if you counted the votes. I could see how the non-count could happen in the plantation lands of Little Texas, but one fact drove me straight nuts. In the end, this state and its damaged elections were in the hands of a Democrat and a Mexican-American one at that. Or maybe not. I knew it was not a polite question, but it was really bugging me, so I asked Santiago Juarez, exactly how does a Mexican get the name William Richardson? Governor Richardson's daddy, explained, was a Citibank executive assigned to Mexico City. There he met Governor Bill's mom, and milagro, a Mexican-American was born. Richardson gets big mileage out of his mother's heritage. That makes him, legitimately, a Mexican-American, a politically useful designation. But it's just as legitimate to say that Richardson is a Citibank American. Oh, but Governor Richardson is more than that. Between leaving Bill Clinton's cabinet, where he was Secretary of Energy, and grabbing a Hispanic district seat in Congress, Richardson became a partner in Henry Kissinger and Associates. That would make Richardson a Kissinger American as well. In New Mexico, the issue of uncounted votes is more than skin deep. Lots of Mexican-American votes don't tally, but Citibank American votes never get lost. Kissinger American votes always count. The story of America's failed elections is not about undervotes, it's about underclass. Disenfranchisement is class warfare by other means. It just happens that in New Mexico, the colors of the underclass are, for the most part, brown and red. Whose flag does Bill Richardson carry in the Nouvelle Class War? When I was checking out the New Mexico vote in 2005, my old friend's Public Service of New Mexico hit the front page, sued by the state of California for conspiring with Enron to rig the California power market. Still in court. It was a scam called Ricochet. Enron and PNM say it was not illegal. It played out about the time Garcia was walking the cell block. Where was Richardson? He was in Washington, Clinton's Secretary of Energy, playing chubby cheerleader for PNM's plan for deregulation of the energy market. Deregulation made PNM's games possible, and Richardson employment by Kissinger inevitable. Here's another little section. Richardson ready for takeoff. What about all those suspect spoiled votes in Hispanic and Indian precincts stuck inside the machines? Why didn't this Mexican-American Democrat ask for a recount? Didn't just slip Richardson's little mind. He actively did everything in his power to stop a recount. I was told that it was Richardson himself who encouraged Secretary of State Vigil Guerin to reject the $114,000 payment from pissed-off Democrats in the Green Party. The governor was too busy to speak with me about this. I'll bet he was. Halting the 2004 recount wasn't enough for Governor Bill, however. He demanded the legislature pass a reform law that would require anyone wanting a recount of a suspicious vote to put up a bond of over $1 million. As a result, free and fair elections are now effectively outlawed in New Mexico. You can have a choice of a free election or a fair election, but not both. Want fair? Then you have to pay $1 million to recheck the ballots. In other words, it's against the law to buy votes, but in New Mexico, not against the law to buy the vote count. On his phony reform law, Richardson was called out by a fellow Democrat, State Senator Linda Lopez, an act of indiscreet defiance that would not be forgotten in the governor's circle. The centerpiece of the law signed by the governor missed Fox Young's proposal to require photo ID for new voters. Maybe the former cabinet secretary of United Nations Ambassador Richardson couldn't imagine that photo IDs would be a problem for some voters. After all, Mexican Americans in Little Texas may have trouble producing acceptable IDs, but it's no problem at all for a Kissinger American like Governor Richardson. The governor and Jimmy Carter both have passports, they have credit cards, and they have chauffeurs who will vouch for them. Richardson wouldn't speak with me about the 2004 vote fiasco. Instead, he busied himself with his space program. He announced the state would chip in $200 million to build a spaceport to land private rocket ships that will be launched beginning in 2009 by Richard Branson, the British billionaire. Passengers have already bought tickets for $200,000 each. Round trip, they hope. So yeah, I guess the answer is, Bill Richardson might be a spick just like me, but you know what? I prefer spicks who know the difference between right and wrong. That's Zach Elliott, and I'm talking at you from Feel Free to Argue. Have a good day.